Varshal, filmmaker. Sombath is my friend. I've worked with him quite a bit, and I'm quite upset about this and very angry. The skillfulness is very nice. He's been gone 5 days. What can be done now? I mean, it'll be 6 days, 7 days, 8 days. I mean, what's really concrete? What can really be done? That's my question to the panel and to anybody else. Is anybody putting a monetary fund together to provide funds to get information, to perhaps pay bribes? What needs to be done quickly? Thank you.
Yes, please. Yeah.
I think we're doing all we can. I appreciate your concern. We all appreciate our concern, but I wish that the different countries will. Well, let me put it this way: for years, the most powerful country, like United States and the UK and EU countries, has supported so much of a human rights issue. I think it's time also now, because most of the countries in ASEAN now, I think they're returning towards human rights violation as a policy in their government now, with the competing markets in the world, and it's open season for to get natural resources. I really have my my doubts what we can accomplish only in us here alone in Thais, because we're helpless. I mean, in this very room, in year 2002, I remember Kofi Annan he set up a special rapporteur to Thailand when 13 NGO and community leader disappeared in Thailand. Not disappeared, but they don't make them disappear in Thailand. They just shoot them and just leave them there, you see. So it's a bit different. And it was very telling that the UN was very concerned about Thailand. But when Mrs. Gilani eventually came, by the year 2003, 2004, I believe, beginning 2004, she found out that there are 3,000 more dead in Thailand on drug trafficking, against drug trafficking, killing against drug trafficking, you see, state impunity. So the human rights issue is always very, very difficult issue, and more than this, I think the campaign will not die. It's the first time I would like to say that the River Network people that I associate myself with here are what we call soft NGOs. You know, they don't tackle the human rights straightforward. They try to work with all governments to mitigate the destruction on the environment and destruction on society itself with the growth of the economy. They've become very active. Is red alert for them, because if Sombath is not recovered, is such a huge loss for us here.
May I add? May I add?
Please.
Since we talked to the Foreign Correspondent Club, I would make an appeal not to condemn the Lao government, but try to give them leeway, try to give them encouragement, and to tell them it's for their honor that they would do some things upholding human rights, take good care of Sombath. I think in that sense, it's much more positive than condemning the Lao government. As for the release of Sombath, I think as correspondents, that's all we can do. But EU always good at make statement, and they tend to make condemnation. The Falang never learn. They did that before with Burma, and make the Burmese more and more with the Chinese. Laos also now under the Chinese hegemony, much more than American hegemony. And worse than that, the Thai roles, when you talk about the Sayaburi Dam, why don't the Thai NGOs do something against Chor Kan Chang? Why don't you do against the Ital Thai in Tawai? In Burma, in Laos, they can't do it. Here we can do it. We may not be successful, but make condemnation strongly, Chor Kan Chang, which link very directly with the military. The military is the state within the state. Denounce them strongly, but non-violently. As for at the Sombath's case, if we can have minister in the ASEAN country talk gently with the minister in Vientiane, perhaps Indonesia may work, but the Laotian the Thai minister are very hopeless. They have neither brain nor ability, nor care for human rights. I quote example. The Czech Republic is a very small country, but they play a vital role internationally because they are very humble, skillful, and they care for human rights, they care for culture, and so on. And I hope in the ASEAN country, one of these days we should have minister in the image of the Czech Republic. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I understand that Kun Supalak will need to leave us now. Would you like to say a few words before?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry for leaving. The point I want to make is that, well, Lao government is very lucky concerning what Ajahn Sulak has said. That, leadership in Laos is very humble. Before international communities, they also have leeways all the time. They also have the safe haven in front of the ASEAN as well. You never heard the ASEAN strongly criticize Lao government on whatever they did. By the way, I understand that there is some elements in the Laos states apparatus mechanism might be still. But what we call for, and as a journalist, civil society for that country need to adjust, modify, and develop their justice system. I would just one point I would make it clear that, well, if Sombath did something wrong, I would charge him, prosecute him, but openly, in front of international, or say to the international community that this is the law of the Lao PDR. That will be fine. We can accept that. But by doing this, in what I will insist that the way to handle this kind of uncomfortable elements in the country is really uncivilized, even in the context of that society. Laos is a norm to, if we have something, difficulties among each other, they have a norm to consult and talk to each other. They don't abduct the people or get rid of that element that create the trouble in society. I think this is the lovely of Lao society, and the loveliness of Lao society is that they can live harmony, they can talk to each other on these uncomfortable things that happen in the country. It's my thing put into the context that the developments in the country, commercialization on the national resource might cause the difficulty for the abduction by some the other elements or the unknown elements in the countries that might be happen. But I call for the Lao government to make it clear and that they will follow right out and search for him and ensure his safety. Take responsibility and accountability as the authority that have accountability to the people. Thank you.
The Laotian people will detest that word uncivilized very strongly. That bloody Thai chauvinistic approach must learn to respect our Lao neighbors.
Thank you.
In response to the question, I would like to have some idea. You see that First, we should support the family activities of the family of Mr. Sombath, because in case of disappearance, no, Mr. Sombath is not the victims, but his family, and the voice of the family must be heard by any persons, not only the government, by the public also. So first we should support the families, the activity of the families. Secondly, I think that we should continue doing the campaign, take into account or take into consideration of the suggestion of Ajahn Sulak, but the campaign should continue. Seeking more information about this disappearance, disseminate information, organize events, during the campaign, write the letter to the embassy, to the government of Lao PDR, to Thai government, to the government of ASEAN, and etc. So I think that you can see, even though in case of Mr. Somchai Nirapajit, that the campaign is not bring back, his life or even his body, but the campaign on Mr. Somchai is very, very effective, make some impact, So in this extent, I think that we should continue doing this until the picture of this violation is clear. And I believe that the campaign will not only to benefit the family or Mr. Sombath themselves only, but will benefit the people in Laos, because during the campaigns, things, information, as expressed or said by Ajahn Kaisak or Ajahn Sulak, will be publicized, that for example in Thai society will understand more about the problem in Laos, by using these cases, this case as the leading points for better understanding and better support, of the Thai people or of the international communities to the people of Lao PDR.